right, a Fox News alert on this Wednesday morning. The House Homeland Security Committee yesterday advanced articles of impeachment against DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas in an overnight vote that got heated. It was strictly along party lines.
Secretary Mayorkas' actions have forced our hand. We cannot allow this border crisis to continue. We cannot allow fentanyl to flood across our border, our criminals to waltz in undeterred. And we cannot allow a cabinet secretary with no regard for the separation of powers or the rule of law to remain in office.
And any shortcomings that Mayorkas may have, frankly, are your fault. He's asking for authorities to do more, to have more border agents, to have more resources. And so his limitations are caused by you.
It was a marathon session, 13 hours long. Eventually, Mayorkas called the allegations baseless in a letter to the committee. The next step is an impeachment vote on the House floor.
And as that battle unfolds in Washington, look at this insane video. A group of migrants in New York City are arrested after attacking NYPD officers in Times Square. 5 were arrested and 4 are already released without bail.
All right, the brawl started when 2 officers were trying to break up a rowdy crowd near a migrant shelter on 42nd Street. While arresting one of the men, the other said, hey, I'm not going to just sit there. I'll jump in. I'll start kicking. I'll stop punching the officers. After all, I don't belong in this country anyway. I could beat up an NYPD officer. What'll actually happen? The Manhattan DA's office saying it's investigated the incident as police search for 5 other men involved. Every part of this incident could have been avoided if you didn't allow 67,000 people to call New York home who don't belong here. And what happened is, instead of being grateful, they're creating chaos. They get free food, free laundry. Right. They can do whatever they want, free shelter. And when they start fighting each other and NYPD comes to enforce the law, they beat up the cops.
Right.
Forget you trying to wrap your head around that.
Listen, the actual number, according to the New York Post, and they had this story exclusively, 172,000 migrants have come to New York City. Since, in the last year and a half. 172,000, 67,000 are currently in shelters. Obviously, if these guys were over by the migrant shelter, you can connect the dots. They were probably living there. Here's the thing. One of the, and by the way, they did bust in all 5 people, 2 19-year-olds, a 21-year-old, and a 24-year-old, and of course all single males. And weren't we told a while back the people being led across the border were all in family units? Anyway, one of those migrants apparently has 2 open cases for assault and robbery. He's already been arrested twice. In November, he punched and pushed and bit a Nordstrom Rack employee who said, hey, you can't steal that $130 item from the store, pal. Well, he didn't like that. He bit the person. And then in December, he punched with a closed fist a loss prevention officer down at the big Macy's on 34th Street, and he was trying to pull off another robbery with 2 other people. So how hard is it to get deported in this country if you're breaking the law and beating up cops? That's
the question. And this story and this video that you're seeing right here, it's the cross-section of so many things we talk about every single day with all the issues in cities and countries across the country, where it's attacks on police, it's the illegal immigrant crisis, it's also the bail policies that are contributing to all of this. And yeah, like you said, Steve, one guy had already has 2 open cases, so he is now a repeat offender. And you just have to think about the mentality of this group of 5 people who, by the way, are claiming asylum. They've all been released, too. They've been stopped and released. Because of that, it's behavior of people who are not afraid to get deported. If you were, and you know that you came here illegally and you're on thin ice, you're going to hide. You're going to be quiet, mind your P's and Q's. And these people are attacking police officers. Thankfully, they're okay. And
what you said is a cross-section of everything.
Yeah.
It's a cross-section of let's open up the border. Let's not do the remain in Mexico. Let's not pressure other countries to keep their people there. Let's not make sure the cartels don't decide to give up drugs in order to get back into human trafficking. And let's not put up the wall. It all comes into the major cities. You want to blame the Republican governors for allowing these guys to get on buses and go to major cities? Don't. Look at Mayorkas and Joe Biden and look at their policies and executive orders to reverse Donald Trump's policies, and it goes right back to those illegal immigrants on the streets beating up our cops.
It's also the cross-section of the downside of sanctuary cities, right? Because if this happened in a place that didn't have sanctuary city policies, they would call ICE and those people would get deported, not here.
Right.
ICE has been defanged, and number two is sanctuary cities. President Trump, one of the first things he did is told the courts, forget it's unconstitutional. The courts pushed back and said he can't do that.
Well, one of the big sanctuary cities is where Lawrence Jones has been dispatched. He's in Denver today. And Lawrence, you were talking to the mayor there about their sanctuary status, because right now it's at the crisis level. They've got the highest number per capita of migrants in that city you're standing in America.
Hey, good morning, family. A big interview with the mayor here, Mike Johnson. And to go to the people that are seeking asylum, I asked the mayor, I said, you know, what are you going to do when a lot of these folks are on the street because you guys just don't have the resources? And he gave me the story of one of the migrants that came across the border illegally, that she was a police officer in Venezuela. And I said, you know, Mr. Mayor, you got to realize that not all of them are going to have that background. Not all of them are going to be people that are law-abiding citizens. I mean, their first act was breaking the law. And I think it really came to the point of understanding a mayor that wants the best for his city, but also has this loyalty to the ideology of letting migrants across the border. I also talked to him about the breaking point of the city. This is what he had to say. Watch.
Every hotel room we have in the city of Denver is full. We're at 5,000 people in shelter, and we have more coming every day. And so we have to reactivate the policy we've always had, which is you can come and stay for a length of time, but it can't be forever.
At what point does your city reach its breaking point?
Yeah, I think our city is very close to its breaking point now, and we've been talking to leaders in D.C. around the country about why we need them to take action here. I think we have successfully welcomed almost 40,000 migrants in the last year, and we know what it takes to do this successfully. We just need that help, and the things we need are, yes, we need federal dollars, but the most important thing is we need, work authorization for folks when they arrive, and we need those resources at the border so you can add more security at the border, and so you can help process those asylum claims so the folks that do arrive here can work. The challenge we have is you have someone that'll arrive in Denver who's been admitted on an asylum claim, but their court date for their asylum case is 6 years away. And they're in Denver for 6 years without an ability to work and support themselves.
You know, guys, I give the mayor a lot of credit. We reach out to these liberal city mayors every single day asking them, to come on the program, to make their case to our audience, and not a lot of them do it. He chose to do that. Later on in the interview, I asked him, did he have a message for Greg Abbott now that he has the pressure now? Because at first he was very critical. What he says, we're going to tell you, we're going to show you later on in the program. We also asked him, do you regret being a sanctuary city?
Right.
Would you change that? Would you do anything different? We asked him about that, and he's going to tell us about that later on in the program as well.
Wait.
But again, a lot of credit to the mayor for showing up, answering the questions.
Right. This is a complete circle. We defund the cops. We don't back them. Now we break the border and tell the cops to wrangle them up and create some type of semblance of order, and they're getting attacked. So now, and the people who opened up their arms now are losing their cities. I hear in Denver, nobody wants to live there anymore. You can't get a hotel room. It's a fraction of what the city was before. So don't tell me you got a big heart. Think America first. Your goal is to make the people of Denver make their lives better, not welcome in the world and demand federal funding for it. By the way, the federal funding doesn't come from the president's pocket. It comes from federal tax dollars in a country that's $36 trillion over in debt. It's nuts.
Lawrence, we're looking forward to seeing more of your interview with the mayor. We're going to play it all 3 hours long right here on Fox and Friends.
Right. But Colorado's using resources to make sure Donald Trump's not on the ballot.
Yeah. Well,
that's the key. Keep Donald Trump off the ballot. That's your number one issue.
Yeah, but Mayor Johnson seems like a perfectly reasonable guy, where he's saying that the asylum claims lasting 6 years long is crazy. We have to fix that. We have to secure the border. He's also talking about work visas, which could be an incentive, but if you're the mayor of a city and you have to spend all these taxpayer dollars on illegal immigration, you can understand where he's coming from with that.
They're trying to do exactly the same thing in New York State, where they would let 4,000 migrants take state jobs, work for the state of New York. We're going to talk about that a little later on.
Can I say one thing? He might be reasonable, but he's not logical. Like, he might be a nice person, but he has to play this out. What he's doing is not working. These people can't live on the streets. He's got to say there's no more right to shelter policy. I mean, whether it's returning the buses and creating a backlog and telling the president to pick up the tab, by doing what he's doing now, he does not deserve any credit.
Well,
I give him credit for sitting down with Lawrence. That's about it.
He's been dealt a tough hand. And so
because of his policies.
What he's doing is he's trying to navigate the tough road that Joe Biden has given all of the mayors around here.
He's on board with Joe Biden. And now he can't deal with his own policies. It's not our problem.
Well, we are going to hear more from him and Lawrence later on in the show.
Indeed. I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.